sitting here with my son, chit-chatting, and the subject that really comes out a lot with young teens, and I already know because I was a teenager, you know what I mean, is friendship. Friendship. So sometimes you'll notice that at your age, you will go through a lot of phases and a lot of changes in life. That's natural, that's normal. Sometimes you will get disappointed. Why? Because sometimes you may wonder, like, I used to have a friend like so-and-so, and all of a sudden we're not friends anymore. And then you go to a certain school, right? Like you go to a learning center, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I had like 12 friends or 20 friends. And then a year later, you like have 14 friends. And then a year later, you have like 2 friends. And then maybe a year later, you have like 1,000 friends. And social media, which we'll talk about again, because I know you've asked me questions about that, social media. So pause that question. But right now, let's just talk about regular friends, not friends on Facebook, because, like, for example, I got 2,000 friends on Facebook, but I talk to like 5, 1, if not 2 a year.
Or to talk to some other people.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But honestly, Facebook for me, but let me hold a thought on social media. You all right with that? So let's talk about the friendships, right? So the friends, like, they come and go. They come in waves, right? Sometimes you have the highs, and sometimes you have the lows. Sometimes you have no friends at all. But don't feel like it's anything that has to do with you.
Yeah.
Let me explain. So, generally speaking, there is like a variety of types of friends, and I'm sure you've heard the word acquaintance, right?
Yeah.
The English language does not really it does not describe words as they are. Many other languages, whether you call it Hebrew, Greek, Zulu, whatever, all the vast African languages, and maybe some European language or Asian languages. I don't speak Japanese or Chinese, but I'm sure many other languages, they actually go and delineate on words. Like, they do explain. For example, if you tell somebody you love them, in Greek you have agape, storge, philia.
What language?
So philia, that's Greek, right?
Okay. So
philia would be like brotherly love, like the bro love, like the love that you have for your friends, but you say philia. And then storge is like the family love, like the siblings. You know what I mean? Like when you say your sister or whatever, I love my brother, I love my sister, like in the family tree, not like bros, right?
Yeah.
Like if you had a brother, you would say like storge, your brother, like storge. And then you have agape, which is like unconditional love. That's the love that God wants us to have for each other, like regular people, everyone that you come in contact with. But we're not talking about that right now. So there's different levels that actually explain certain things. But English will have one word. It'll just say love.
Yeah.
So now you get lost in translation. You go to a person, you be like, hey, I love you. And they'll be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So you got to explain, what do you mean when you say I love you? So it gets muddy, right? But you are able in other languages to actually dive in exactly to what you mean. Like, you know what I mean? If I say I storge you or whatever in that Greek language or whatever, your brother will know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
When you say I philia to a bro, like, when you have like fraternities and stuff like that, or your brotherly church brother or church sister, that's the philia, right? But most of those have conditions, right? They're conditional. Agape one is the one that's like literally unconditional. But we're not talking about that. Again, let's go back again to friends. Friends in other languages, when you say somebody's my friend, it's not like an acquaintance. It really goes into let's see, how do I explain this? For example, people at war, right? People that are in the Army, military, Navy, they have people that they work with, they're with every day. They they fight alongside together. They got each other's backs, right? And you talked about, like somebody whose back you got, or somebody who has your back, right? When you have something like that, in the military, or in military terms, they call it comrades. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's my comrade, right? It's kind of like old term that was used like military war type stuff, right? So you can look at that example and say, that's a type of friend, right? A friend that got your back, that hold that thought. And then you will have something like a constituents. A constituents now is that type of friend that I will say you will come across. I'll repeat that because that car was honking. So a constituents is that kind of friend that you have come across a lot.
Yeah.
It's that friend that you had in school. And I will explain the difference between the constituents type of friend and the comrade type of friend. A comrade is a friend who is your friend because you are fighting a common enemy. Does that make sense? So let's say you and this other buddy of yours come together because maybe you were both bullied by one guy, right? I'll let this car pass by real quick. And while that car is passing by, I might as well take a... What was this again? What did we get? Cheese Danish?
Alright, that's fine.
So good. Oh yeah. I like them. So now, a comrade, right, will be that guy who got your back. But you're only friends because you have a common enemy. Both of you don't like someone, and then you guys kind of stick together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so like
because you there's a bully that you guys don't like, and you guys don't like him, and all of a sudden you kind of stick together.
Yeah.
Right. That becomes a comrade. That type of friend will only be your friend only if there's an enemy. That bully.
Yeah.
What happens when the bully transfers or goes to a different school? You may not share something in common, and that friendship may just dissolve.
Yeah.
Because that bully's not there, so I can find other friends. It happens a lot. And then you have the constituents, right? The constituents is just that, I call them situational friends.
Yeah.
You guys are friends because we go to the same school. What happens when you change schools? Like you had lots of friends, right? Like Onyx, without
Like 5. Well, probably like 2 real.
Or your friends in karate, you know what I mean? Or when you do a certain sport, you got those friends, right? But then when you change schools, all of a sudden you don't call each other. That friendship kind of dissolves.
Because you don't see each other.
Because you don't see each other all the time. Now, when you get older, right now you're kind of 13, right? When you get to the 18, we start dating. You're gonna start dating when you're 21.
15. I'm not like a girl. Like
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. He's still my baby boy. All right, so when you start dating, right, you will notice that sometimes you may even find a girlfriend that you might be cool with because you are in a certain situation. You may be going to church together. You may be going to school together. You may go to college together. You may be next door neighbors. Or you guys meet at the same cafe together. Or you drink coffee. But it's more like situational. That type of friend, a constituents, because you're in the same constituents, it's more proximity. That's how you measure that kind of friendship. You're only friends because you're in the same predicament. You're kind of like in the same place. You are only friends because, so that person got your back, or you are friends with that person because you share something in common. Yeah. You see, the difference with the comrade, right? You are friends because you have an enemy in common, right? You share something in common, which is something that both of you guys don't like. So you band together. The constituents is something that you share together. So this person has your back. Why? Because you share something common. For example, you may like basketball, and you come across somebody who likes basketball, and then you're friends together. What happens when the person loses taste for basketball? friendship suffers. The last one is called confidant. Is that a weird word? Like confidant?
Very big.
It sounds French. I don't know if confidant. Right. So now a confidant is someone. A confidant is literally a person who got your back unconditionally. There's no strings attached. You may have met, at a cafe, a coffee shop. You may have met in school, college, whatever. And when that situation dissolves, you continue being friends. Excuse me. You continue so you meet at school, and then after school is over, you exchange numbers, and your friendship continues. That's a confidant. Those are hard to find. Now, those guys are the ones that got your back because they just like you for who you are. They're not like their friends, the other two that we talked about, where they are your friends because you're in the same area. When the area changes or the school is over, you go your separate ways, friendship goes. Or the other one who's a comrade, you're only friends because you guys are fighting the same fight, right? Or like you have two countries who become allies because they're fighting one country. After the fight is over, the war is over, all of a sudden you're not exchanging, businesses, the friendship kind of dissolves. It happens like that with people. So the confidant is very hard to come by. It's very hard to find. It's that person who will call you when you're in trouble. They will cry when you're crying. When you're hurting, they hurt. Like for real, for real. When you're hurting, they hurt too. When you're happy, they are happy too. Unlike those people who come to you and say, I'm happy for you. I hate that term. Like, happy for me. Why aren't you happy with me? Right? So, 1, 2, 3. The confidant is the one that you really want. When you find a friend like that, you want to hold on to that person. Right? Like at all costs, because you know that they're genuine. You don't want to mess with them. You don't want to trip on them. You don't want to disappoint them because they're loyal. They're loyal to you because they like you. They like you. Not because of your social status, not because of money, not because you are famous in school, not because you're a basketball player. They just like you because if you break your leg,
they'll feel bad or whatever.
They will really be like, I got your back. If you're on a wheelchair, they'll be that friend that pushes you around forever, right? So those are hard to find. So basically, with this knowledge, Mike, when you know what kinds of friends exist in life, it makes life easier because you won't be disappointed a lot. Because sometimes you may sit down and be like, man, I used to be friends with so and so, but they left. Well, so what? Because you're in a situational, so you understand that they're situational friends. They're friends that you're with because you fight in the same cause, or you're bending because you're allied because you are fighting the same enemy. Make sense?
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, and the real friend that you want. The real friend that you want is the one that is like that friend, which is a confidant.
Like family.
Ooh, sometimes family can be a disaster.
Yeah. That's a good friend if they're like family too.
Well, if you got a friend, sometimes friends can be more friends than your family.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be like that, but that's the reality of it. You know what I mean? Sometimes friends are more friends to you than family. When family, in fact, to me, when you get disappointed by family, it hurts more because you're like, you are supposed to get my back. You're supposed to have my back. You know what I mean? So
same kin.
No?
Like kinfolk.
Exactly. But it's just one of those things. And I thought maybe I keep this since I'm just filming and just having this conversation with you out here, having coffee in a cafe, chilling. What did you get? What's this? That's a lot of chocolate. That's too much chocolate, man.
There was more flavors I would have gotten. But
Yeah, was it strong though?
no, this is liquid.
It's just cool. Yeah. Well, I just like my ice shaken espresso.
Little chunks of chocolate.
I like this one. But I hope that made sense, and I also hope what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share this on my YouTube because it's gonna help somebody. A lot of people struggle a lot with that with the friendship. And they're like, I used to be friends with so and so, but we're not friends anymore. Why? Nah, don't be surprised. You understand?
So is this like a reach out, so then you call people and then talk to them?
If you sometimes there's friends like this, right? You are the one who's loyal to them, but they're not loyal to you. With me, if I call you once, I call you twice, I may even call you 10 times. But if I'm the only one who's always calling you first, that's a red flag. Right? Equally, when you have that friend that's always reaching out to you, I mean, if there's nothing wrong between the two of you, like, if they're not bugging you and they're calling you, don't, especially a confidant, don't let them call you 10 times before they reach a situation where they're like, man, am I bothering this person? Maybe let me
count on them.
Yeah, so if you got a good friend that calls you and checks on you, you want to latch on to that person. You want to be cool. You want to be loyal with them. You want to return those calls. So it's easy to select friends, and it's easy to actually pay attention to the red flags, right?
Yeah.
If those friends are your friends and then you're not talking because you changed schools, let it go. It's okay. Or if both, like for example, you like the Lakers, right? What team you like?
Clippers.
My goodness, you like the Clippers. All right. So sometimes you may meet somebody who's like a Clipper fan, right? And then what's the arch nemesis of the Clippers? What do you think? Because I know the Lakers is like Celtics, right?
Well, I'll say just to the person they lost to, I'll just say the Pelicans.
The Pelicans?
Yeah.
Okay, so both you guys may be friends because y'all don't just hate the Pelicans. It happens like that, right? So you may be friends because you just don't like something. So you share something in common, which is a shared dislike, or you fight together, or you are allies together because you are fighting a common enemy, or a common cause. Because sometimes you may come together and be like, we want to fight, we want to end racism, we want to end xenophobia, we want to end this, but you come together and you bend. Those types of friends, just know that they're just with you because you're fighting a common enemy.
Yeah.
They won't last. Expect that. Because when the fight is over, they go away. Same thing with the constituents, right? Those friends are there because, we live in the same neighborhood, we play basketball together, we play football together, or we are in a math class together, but after that's over,
part ways.
Expect that. But when you find that confident who reaches out to you and you're cool, you meet up after school's over, you meet up after whatever is over, you want to hold on to that person and really like them and latch on to them. So I'll end this video right now, right here, because we can continue talking. And I know next time let's talk about social media, all right? The dangers of social media and all that stuff. We'll just continue this conversation, right? But it's all good. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. And cut.